so I won't go into it.
Okay. When we stop, because we're going to aim for 35 to 45 minutes max, and then I'll get off of so we're recording. Let me go live on Facebook. I got to type in all my stuff. And go. Why can I never find it? There it is.
Trying to block out my window a little bit.
Oh, yeah. String the drop. Recovery. Share on my page. And make it go to the right page. All right. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
And hello, everybody. Look at that. I did it seamlessly and all on time. Welcome back to Mastering the Drop, a real view of recovery, where every week we come and we talk about, an important skill set or a tactic or a topic or, a motivation, anything and everything that actually helps people on any recovery journey find I want to say success. Today, success is coming to mind because really what is important is that we all are striving to experience living the way that we desire. We all need and want to experience our environment in a way that is pleasing, palatable, fulfilling, comforting, all of these things. But we also want our environment to receive us the way that we see ourselves. And sometimes that can be really confusing. Sometimes it can be very hard. And as the topic would say this week, it can be quite distressing, as can living, as can a recovery process, as can where we are before we start a recovery process. Anyway, honestly, life just consistently puts stressors in our life. And some of them are clearly more difficult than others. But even when I say those situations are clearly more difficult than others, it also depends upon the being. And what I mean by that is, we don't all experience things the same way. And whereas, one person can be completely terrified to have to go to the phlebotomist for labs, another person's like, who cares? Here you go. Right. And sorry if that was triggering or prompting for anybody, but it's the real fact. Like, we're not all afraid of the same things. We don't all get stressed out or derailed or distressed about the same things. And some of us aren't even sure what distress is. We aren't all educated on the different types of stress that there are. And distress is only one type of stress. And we're not going to go into that today. I have really been on a mission this week, and it's only Wednesday, so we're not quite halfway there yet, but to start bringing some awareness around what distress tolerance is. But more importantly, I think today's conversation is even more fulfilling because Karen and I are going to talk about effective distress tolerance skill sets, techniques, tactics, and how can we create, cultivate, and nurture appropriate self-soothing tactics. And anyway, everybody, this is Karen. She's been here before, but she's back again because I just love talking to her. And I figure, gosh, we have such great conversations. We might as well just do them live because she's open to that. And so Karen is back. And Karen, I hope you don't mind, but you had told me you wanted to share something with me before we went live. And I asked you graciously to save it, because I know that whatever you bring to share with me personally is always so important and so impactful that I would have just asked you to say it again. So I don't know, totally up to you, but if you wouldn't mind, because
I would be honored. I would be honored. Just for those people who don't know me, my company is Awesome Life Success. And with that, it is a way of healing, of helping people de-stress, to help them handle those tolerations that we seem to have to tolerate in our world today. And I love to use oracle cards to help me. So every day, most days, I mean, I'm human. I don't do it every day. Very little do I do every day. But before our meeting today, I said, what can I do, be, or say today that would be of the most benefit for all concerned? That was my question. And I was so excited. And I really thank you so much for having me, Tricia, because I love hanging out with you. But the card was rock bottom.
Wow.
And I thought, all right, well, for de-stress tolerance skills, yeah, this is great. So bear with me as I put on my glasses here. And the rock bottom card means surrender and acceptance are the keys to freedom. As difficult as it may be to accept, it seems that you've reached a point where you can go no further in the same manner in which you've been doing things. So perhaps you've hit a proverbial brick wall or experienced a deep sense of loss, and you don't know where to turn. The old ways of doing things must be discarded fully in order to move onward and upward. A new direction and a new strategy are called for, and the only way out is through surrender. So accept things as they are, admit that you have no idea what to do next. And if you wait in a heartfelt moment of release, then a stairway will appear like magic, and all manner of synchronicities will show you the way to higher ground.
Wow.
So,
What an amazing thing, because I always get blown away and amazed when I pull a card from my mindfulness deck of cards, and it's right on spot with whatever topic we had just spoken about. But for you to pull that beforehand and have it speak directly to the majority of the audience, the people that I share this with, the people that listen in, like, I think that is just, I don't know, if that doesn't speak volumes, that there's there's something to be said about what the universe can do. I don't know.
and I find, and every time I do it, I know it works and I love it. But every time something like that occurs and it's so perfect, I just say, oh, how cool is this? This is so cool. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I just love you. You're just awesome. But it's true. It's true. And I think I've found with every consultation I've done this week, it has been very much in line with just the message for the week. And I think, whatever vibration we're vibrating at, and in the current time is what we attract, and who can hear what we have to say and what we have to offer. And so I think that, wow. And
Thank you for letting me share that.
So excited that you picked this week and that this week was this topic. So anyway, Karen and I could just sit here and gush over each other all day long. And we would if we thought people would listen, and I know that they wouldn't. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about distress tolerance, because the last 4 weeks, because our last topic was pretty big, but it was about doing what works and being effective and assertiveness. And we've been talking a lot about assertiveness, not necessarily being this, bluntness, it being a very open, honest, authentic, genuine, transparent way of being, and having that foster being effective and doing what works. But when I started talking about distress tolerance, and doing that identification time with the clients of shifting from the one topic into this topic, when we're looking at distress tolerance, we have to back up and say, how can I be effective and do what works for me in this space? So if we're looking at that, And a little bit of a precursor is emotion regulation, which is going to be, obviously following once we figure out this whole distress tolerance thing. But so we have to have those things in mind: being effective, doing what works, being open, honest, genuine, transparent, authentic, right, with ourselves, and with the mind of, okay, I got to have emotion regulation. And so what do I need to do? Like, I have no idea. They didn't teach me this in school, which I think is a shame. And we don't anywhere teach people, because literally, and I see that smile, because when we got taken to the doctor as kids and to get our vaccines, what did we get? We got a lollipop. If we fell down and scraped our knee, we got a popsicle. As we grew older and something bad happened, we did what? We reached for Ben & Jerry's. We reached for alcohol. We reached for marijuana. Then we got a little bit older and maybe it was something else, or we just kept adding things in. And maybe now, like, we are just shopping and eating and drinking and all of the, avoiding and people pleasing and, just like really reliant on our environment. Right. Because anymore now it's like, oh, I'm distressed. I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling my girlfriend, and I'm going to do the whole ruminating, wallowing, and languishing, but I'm going to bring other people into my mess and see how effective that is. Right. It's not, it can be if we all are approaching it from an effective way. But so, and I know anybody's listening, here's me. These are not effective self-soothing tactics. We cannot rely on something outside of ourselves to bring us peace, joy, comfort, and relief. No. So what can we do? And so we can do a lot of things. We can go to opposites. If I'm feeling super irritated, agitated, and annoyed, I can go find something, I can go plug my favorite comedian into my ear, just to distract me long enough to where I can, let it go for a minute and come back to it, because we have to come back to it. Yeah. We can't just slough over things and think they're going to go away. It just fills a bag. And then we got a bag full of crud. And, but so there's so many different things. And I know, Karen, you have a lot of amazing tactics. And so I'm going to let you share some, and then hopefully I'll be able to hear how I can talk to everybody about being able to add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph.
Well, I'm sure you use many of these tactics, because in all honesty, I do believe there is nothing new in this world. It's just how it's put together. And it is allowing, the part of awesome is allowing and awareness. And when you are aware of what is going on in your system, your triggers, your body, and all of a sudden you notice, oh my gosh, this is not feeling very good. And I am choosing to feel better. It is also a choice. So I am choosing to feel better. I don't care for hanging out in this dark hole, or maybe I do, and that's okay too, for 15 minutes, a half an hour max. But then it's time to get out of that dark hole. Actually, a friend of mine uses a wonderful tool. She says, I am in a dark hole. I want a pity party. I don't like what's going on, and I'm feeling miserable, and I just want to sit here on the couch and eat bonbons all day. And what I'm going to choose to do is make an appointment to have my pity party. And my appointment is for next Friday at 3:00. And she puts it on the calendar. Next Friday, 3:00, pity party. Okay. Do you think she's actually going to be having her pity party at 3:00 next Friday?
I hope not.
Nope. Nope. And what I have discovered, because no matter what your background is, no matter what your situation is, some have it a lot worse than others, but we all have the same feelings when it comes right down to it. They all affect us in very similar ways. So being able to have the tools, no matter who you are, is key, and making the choice to make that change. So sometimes I'll be watching TV, and all of a sudden I realize I'm all stressed out and I just want to go and get the ice cream. And no, I don't even like ice cream. So what I do, and I ask others just as a tool, is consciously drop your shoulders. Because when you're tense, your shoulders are tense. So consciously drop your shoulders. And then breathe in a box. Just imagine a box in front of you and breathe 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine going up 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top, and breathing down breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. And just do that until that sense of calm gets translated to your entire body. And so you can relax. It's a real simple tool. No matter what situation you're in, it takes less than a minute. And that's the key too. Sometimes you're not sitting in front of the TV, you're standing in front of somebody who has triggered you. You need to have these tools.
Yes.
And making the choice to use them.
Yeah, I love that. And I, of course, as always, when I listen or when I'm having a conversation with you, amazing things come up. And PS guys, if this is going to be completely off topic, but if you notice, when I'm having these conversations, like I'm having with Karen, I'm listening with the intention of hearing her, understanding her, and gaining something from her. And I'm writing down specific things. If none of you are paying attention, that is active listening. We talked about this. That is active listening at its finest. So anyway, back to the topic.
This is true. This is true.
Super true, right? And so, okay, so these are the things that, one, I want to highlight, because Karen is telling us here things that we already ought to know, or at least be working towards. This is my life too. It gets to look, feel, be however I want it to. If I don't like the way that I'm experiencing my environment in this moment, I get to change that into how I would prefer. So it's about asking you, if I don't like this, how would I prefer to experience it? And we just simply have to ask ourselves that question. Sometimes we have to go a little bit deeper and ask ourselves, what is the cost of me holding on to this thought or this belief? What is the benefit? And if we got to do that, we got to do cost versus benefit analysis with a lot of things in our life. And so if it's effective in other areas of our life, it's definitely going to be effective in our distress tolerance, skill sets and tactics. Because if we can identify what it's costing us to allow ourselves to sit in that in a negative fashion without looking at how I would prefer to experience this, then, and I get it. A lot of you are going, well, death, I would prefer not to experience it that way at all. Great. But there are ways that you can experience death differently. And one of the things that I like to use as an example is this. If we just crumble up, shrivel up, and curl up in a ball on a couch because a loved one has passed away, and we are spiritual beings and we believe that there is any iota of an opportunity that they are up there and can see us and are watching over us, think about how much torture you are putting them in because they can't comfort and console you. They are having to, not necessarily physically, but they're having to watch you physically stop living and not be able to do anything about it. What better of a way to honor somebody that has passed on than to continue living, to continue with the things that that they loved so deeply, and so on and so forth. Again, I don't want to go into grief, loss, mourning, all of those things, but that is a big one. And we have to be willing to look at that. Mourning can be an effective self-soothing tactic as long as we're in the right headspace with it. And we have to do cost versus benefit analysis. We have to decide, again, a lot of people, when they're mourning, they choose to numb out with something. They choose to sit down and curl up in a ball, which is, basically just isolation and ceasing existence. Instead, we could choose to continue living even though we are mourning. And so, we want to have those phrases. I love that, Karen gave, that phrase or a mantra that we want to have, like give yourself something that you're saying, but also that visualization. So I like the 3-count breath. We use the 5, 5, and 5 for people with the anxiety, right? 5, 5, and 5, stop. 5 things, go through all of your senses and name 5 things that are actually right there that you can call out. The doors are there, the windows are there, there's oxygen in the room, there's whatever, right? Yeah. Go through that process. And if you can just tell yourself to stop and drop, right? Stop, do the 5, 5, and 5, you're going to naturally start slowing things down, because honestly, we have to be able to tolerate and survive crisis, and do so with accepting life as it is in this moment.
You're right.
Right. So distracting, self-soothing, improving the moment, and thinking about our pros and cons. Well, those are amazing skills and techniques. They might not be all of them, but they're good ones.
They are. They're wonderful. And I'm so glad that you came up. You're talking about the grief, because everybody that I know now is feeling a sense of grief. And grief is loss, whatever that may be for you. It could be a person, it could be a pet, it could be your job, it could be any number of things. It's a loss.
The ability to go to the office and work every day. So many people are grieving what they thrive on as a business professional. And I'm not even going to lie about that. Some of us are like, okay, this is cool. We'll just, move everything to a home office, and it doesn't phase us. But there are people that need that social connection. They need that energy. They need to exist in that vibration. And those people are definitely struggling right now.
They absolutely are. So finding, Zig Ziglar had a comment that I always live by, which is look for the good. Look for the good. So I love your 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, or 5 senses. And what I love to do when I start grieving something is recognizing it. Number 1, honoring the fact that I'm feeling this way. Number 2, honor yourself. It's okay. You are feeling the way you're feeling. There is nothing wrong with that. What does become wrong is when you are carrying it on too long, when you are affecting the people around you and your health. Yeah, your bag of burdens. And it is a choice to make that change. So what can we do in the moment to shift out of that? And I love to go outside. Of course, I live in Maine where it's winter and there's snow on the ground and it's cold. But the key is to use that 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 and find something that you don't normally see. That's right there. 5 things that you don't normally see right now. Like, oh, that twig on that tree. I didn't actually notice that twig yesterday as I look out the window. Or, oh, that speck of dust. I really need to do something about that, don't I? But 5 things. And then notice 5 smells that you might not have had. And just get out of that and make the choice to honor the situation for what it is. Because the one thing in life that is a constant is change. Things will change if you allow it.
I love that. It is so true that we tend to get stuck. And sometimes it's the small things. we get cut off on the way to work on the freeway, and we're, cursing the person all the way to work because they did that. And then when we get to work, we decide to talk about it. Can you believe this guy did this to me? Blah, 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 blah. And then, at lunchtime, we're still talking about it. And we just bring that whole energy with us throughout the whole day. In fact, we end up telling the story to our spouse when we get home. Do you know what happened to me on the way to work today? It's like, that's the epitome of carrying things around. And then everything else kind of has that same icky, heavy feeling throughout the rest of the day. If you are observing yourself as the challenge that's running this week, we're actually on day 3, is prompting you to have been observing and actually writing some things down, like when are you in the stance of a judger, things like that. But if we're filling our bag and we're bringing it at the end of the day, we're like, I don't even know why I'm so stressed out. I'm just stressed out. I'm irritated, agitated, annoyed. And now we're going to throw all of that garbage on our family, our kids, our spouse, the dogs, and nobody's going to enjoy being around us. All for what? Because some guy cut us off on the freeway in the morning on the way to work. Instead, we want to be utilizing what I call a core non-physical feeling check-in, which you do every 2 hours, and it allows you to actually stop the loop and put things down. And then we utilize our shelving system, and then what I call night hygiene, which is effective all day long for any situation. But our shelving systems allows us to look at a situation and look at, where's the learning experience? Where is something that is going to serve me in this moment going forward? That's what I'm going to put on the shelf. The rest of it's going in the trash, because it really doesn't matter, because guess what? There's no do-overs in life. And that minute has already come and gone, yet you survived it. Woohoo! Celebrate that and move on. And so if there's a learning experience or something that's going to serve you, you put that on the shelf. But you put it on the shelf, you don't even carry it, because all of this stuff is heavy. Right. And then so you get to your night hygiene, or the process that, we can utilize at the end of anything that we need to actually evaluate. Right. But it's what went well and why. How can I capitalize on that? How can I keep the momentum going? Blah, 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 blah. Right. Again, it's a whole process. I have a video for all 3 of these things if somebody really wants to see it. If you're a client of mine, you have it. It's in your account. And then we say, what didn't go as well as I'd hoped? Why? What can I do to improve it going forward? What can I pull from things that work well for me? Again, getting effective and doing what works and pulling things in. And then when we get to the things that didn't work at all, first of all, it's last, because we want it to be the smaller thing. We wanted to get the least amount of attention, carry the least amount of weight, significance, or importance. So it's always last. So when we get to that, it's like, what didn't work? Well, this didn't work. Why? Okay, we need to know why, because we need to make sure we don't continue to repeat it. But then we got to put it in the trash.
Exactly.
There's nothing for the shelf. There's nothing to, unless it's something that was really bad and you need to remind yourself, oh, don't do that again. It just never has worked. But, right. Yeah, and so we have these things that we can put into play all day, every day, right? If I'm checking in with my core non-physical every 2 hours, like right here, right now in this moment, how do I feel?
Yeah, I love that.
It's not good or fine. Fine is the most ambiguous word to describe how you are ever.
Yeah.
Right?
So absolutely recognizing what it is. And if it is something that is not, and I love your analogy with the guy cutting you off on the freeway or whatever. That experience happened to me. And my husband had road rage, major, and it was not safe driving with him. It was scary driving with him for many years. He's a whole lot better now. He keeps on saying, well, that used to bother me a long time ago, but we've done a lot of work. Anyway, one of my mantras is, what are the other possibilities? What are the other possibilities? Because as I was driving down, all the traffic was stuck, bumper to bumper. It was in New Hampshire, rush hour, and a woman went driving down in the breakdown lane, honking her horn, furious. You could see her anger in her face. And she was trying to weave in and out of traffic, but we were all stopped dead. And she was just hammering on the horn. And we don't do that in Maine and New Hampshire. Horn blowing is not done here. So it's very unusual. And I just sat there and I said, what? Well, what are the other possibilities? Well, maybe she has a sick child in the back seat. I remember doing that when my husband had a heart attack at age 36, and I drove like I won't say it, into Augusta, about 20 miles to the hospital. And if anybody had stopped me, I would have been so angry. I was doing probably 70 in a 45. But what are the other maybe that was it. Maybe they were trying to get to a hospital.
I love that because and I never had a phrase for it before. I may borrow it because that's a great one. Because I always tell people, like if you're being tailgated, like this was for me because I was born, raised, grew up, drove in Southern California, a lot. So LA, Orange County, the traffic is brutal. Yeah. And people tailgate you and whatever. But I was always of that mindset of, sure, you want to tailgate me? Let me tap my brake and I'll show you what my bumper really looks like. I hope you're paying attention because, that was, yep. As I was in school and as I was working on my own personal improvement journey, I asked myself, how do I want to experience living? How do I want to see myself experiencing living? And it was a lot softer. And it was a lot more flexible, bendable, pliable, accepting of other people. Because if I wanted my mantra to be, this is my life too, it gets to look, feel, be however I want it to, I had to be willing to offer that to other people. So I trained myself on the freeway system in Southern California. But one of the things, as I said, was, wow, this guy's really, tailgating me. Like clearly he's in a hurry, right? Better for me to just get over and let him go by and wish him well. Yeah. Because I don't know anything about him or his life or what may be going on. It's truly none of my business. For all I know, his son just got hit by a train and he's trying to get to the hospital.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I used to say to myself, which is for all intent and purposes, what you just said. What are the other possibilities?
And even if, well, I don't know what the other possibilities are. I don't know what's going on in their mind. Well, no, of course you don't. But what are possibilities? And which one feels most soothing to you?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be accurate. You don't have to know it all. We're just exploring the possibilities that will help you feel better, because when it comes down to it is about you. It's about you feeling better about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, that just goes out into the world and makes the world a better place. And how does it get better than that? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
Yes, because here's the deal. I love that because, if I feel better, if I like the way that I'm seeing something or experiencing something or not experiencing something, and somebody else that's in my, in my presence is very, heightened or, over the whatever it is. I love the fact that I've worked so long and hard on my distress tolerance, self-soothing, and emotion regulation that I'm actually able to sit with people that are in this high vibration. And sometimes I know I get it backwards for some practices, but anyway, if somebody's up here and it's really tense and stressful, I used to have to actually leave because it would just be, wah. Or I'd try to meet them and match them. And that was even worse. I didn't like what that looked like and felt like. Now I can just
for you.
No, but now I can just sit there and just observe and take in, because I figured this one day they may come back and want to, at a calmer state and have a conversation about it, or the topic might come up again where we might actually have effective exchange about it. Again, sometimes we're unaware if somebody is really just needing to vent or share something with us, or if they really want to have a conversation. And not everybody goes that extra mile to clue you in on why they're communicating with you in the first place, and so sometimes, sometimes if I feel it going that way, I like to say, before I get into a space where I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be taking this or whatever, let me ask you, are you simply venting? Are you looking to just, get this off your chest? You just need somebody to listen. Or are you looking for me to listen with the intention of giving my opinion, my thoughts? Perhaps maybe even you're looking for advice, but I need to know how to listen. I need to know how to effectively be in the space with you for you, because I'm not coming up here. I clearly don't have the same emotional reactivity to whatever it is that you're talking to me about right now. And so if you're needing something from me, I need you to be specific and let me know what that is.
Yeah. It's learning how to communicate, isn't it? It's really learning how to, when somebody is, as my colleague often says, going totally off the wall, what is the reason that they're speaking to you? And asking them, what is the reason that you're talking to me right now? Do you just want to vent? Do you want advice? Because honestly, there is nothing worse when somebody just wants to vent, to have somebody say, oh, I can fix that.
Oh, it's the worst.
That is the worst.
Literally
So
the worst.
anyway, it is finding ways to handle a situation and feel okay about it. It's making a decision that you want something better for yourself. It's deciding that you are better and you can live the life of a better person than you are being at the moment, and making the decision to make the change.
Amen to that. And I want to round this out with making sure that we're talking to every person, that every time something negative happens in their life, something distressing gets presented to them, or shows up in their environment, because we've already said it, like, distress is part of life. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. That they reach for the alcohol, they reach for marijuana, they reach for food or overspending. For me, I think that the biggest tie-in that we've got to give these people is, one, falling into the bottom of a bottle, whether that be a pill bottle or an alcohol bottle or something there in between, the bottom of your checkbook, I don't know, falling to the bottom of whatever it is for you is not going to bring your job back, bring your loved one back. It's not going to make that accident not have happened. It's not going to change any of it. At some point in time, you're going to have to face whatever it is. Why prolong it?
Exactly.
And so, having that whatever you need. And I know a lot of my clients start out with using the stop sign visualization. In fact, I've had clients actually put it on their dash.
I love it.
In their wallet when they've opened it, like this big stop sign. And, because to prompt them to stop, to do their cost versus benefit analysis, to really make sure that they're doing what they would prefer versus what impulsively, knee-jerk, instant gratification, whatever you want to call it, happens. So if you had any last things that you would want to share with that person that really struggles with some of the higher level, higher severity things, because we all know that trauma is a hard one. And if we've learned to soothe with chemicals, etc., then it sometimes can be hard to shift away from. So if you had anything that you wanted to,
Honestly, everyone does have those problems, and every single person on this earth has had trauma of some kind. Sometimes it's not the horrible traumas, but they have the trauma of some kind that drove them to create these habits, and they are habits of drinking, addictive habits, whatever it may be, overspending, whatever. It's time to make the decision to take your life back and find the resources like Trisha has, like I have with my heart energy techniques, the Awesome Life Success Program, that will help you learn to recognize, because if you don't know what you don't know. And until you actually learn how other people might be viewing you and make a decision that that is not you, and you can release it without 20, 40 years of therapy. You can release it.
Yeah.
It has to be easier than that. It really, and this is something I have known ever since I was a little kid. And I've not been in this world of where I am right now, spirituality and everything is easy. But looking back over my life and doing some reflection, people will say, well, Karen, you're so intuitive. And I said, no, I'm not intuitive. And then I think back and say, well, I have always known that life did not need to be as hard as we're making it. But we do need to make a choice. So our listeners, thank you for listening, and make the choice to honor yourself, be happy, make your life awesome. It's just so much nicer that way.
Amen.
Don't live with regret.
Yes, amen to that. Everybody remember this. Wherever you are right now is however many years of conditioned ways of being that you worked really hard to get to. So if you're the person, I've always been this way, whatever it is, you've worked hard. If it's been 30, 40, 50 years, conditioned ways of being, even if it started out with a popsicle or a lollipop at age 4, now it's, I don't know, beer and cigarettes, whatever it is, right? There's 30 years of a conditioned way of being, and it's external soothing tactics. And so that's habit forming. So it's not going to go away overnight, but I promise you, with the right, effective skill sets and tactics and the know-how to practically apply them in your life for you, because we all have to know how to add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph, make them our own, because we cannot just simply read a self-help book. I was going to throw somebody's name in, but I'm just not going to. We can't just read their self-help book and go, okay, well, I want my life to look like that person's life, so I'm going to do this book. And then, right, you can't incorporate your life into somebody else's methods and modalities. You have to be willing to take those methods and modalities and add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph them so that they function well for you in your life. So reaching out to myself, to Karen, to other people, and we both have a whole network of ladies that and men that we work with, and we all have our lane, we all have our specialty, we all have our things, but we work really well together when it comes to specific things. And so it's just awesome, just so awesome. But you have to learn, like Karen said, what you didn't know that you need to know to be able to make an effective life change, because life intervention doesn't just happen. That's why you've got the all in and all out, the fad diet, the weight loss, weight gain. Well, I could go on with lots and lots of stories. Anyway, Karen, thank you again so much for being here. Please don't hang up right away. I'm going to stop the live. Everybody, thank you so much for giving us 45 minutes of your wonderful time this afternoon. Karen is going to drop her contact information in the comments below. I will, of course, always put mine in, and you'll be able to just reach either one of us, however you so choose. We look forward to it.
This is so wonderful. And what you're doing is amazing because everybody is unique and amazing in their own way. There is no one like you.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. You're awesome. I'm going to leave you guys with that one. I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.